Hi, I'm Josh McGrath.
I'm Andrew Haas.
And this is the Ardent Pursuit Podcast. One of the areas that causes the most confusion in romantic relationships is right at the beginning. For many people, they don't even know if they're dating. Things just blur. You hang out, text, spend time together, and somewhere along the way, you just kind of morph into a situationship without ever defining it. And that confusion is there because the man never brought clarity. Men are called to lead with intention, to define direction, to be clear about what they want and where things are headed. And when a man sidesteps this responsibility, both people end up second guessing and being confused, not to mention all the drama that comes with it. So today, we're going to look at how to lead well at the very beginning, how to plan the ask, create clarity, and pursue a woman with intentionality. Andrew, I love that we get to unpack some very practical steps when it comes to how to even ask a woman if you can romantically pursue her.
Yes, when you say you are going on a date with somebody, that should mean it is intentional and it's known by both parties what's entailed, but we can unpack that later. For the sake of our discussion, yes, you are meeting up with somebody.
It's a little confusing.
Yes.
Because we've talked about this before on the show. The term date has many different definitions. Let's today use the term asking to get together to ask if you can date her. So we've got a man who's interested in a woman. He wants to romantically pursue her. And while there are many cultural ways that you could initiate that romantic pursuit, what we're going to look at here today is being more methodical, more planned out, really thinking through the process in order to be very intentional and very clear. Because one thing that I think is clear is that women are tired of the lack of clarity when it comes to a man's pursuit or interest of them.
And too often a guy will just go on his own perceived ability to just wing it. And we're going to encourage guys to, let's not wing it here.
Yeah.
To the extent that you can, put in the effort, put in the time, really figure this out, set up some structure, get some clarity. And, a guy might think, holy cow, that's a lot of work. Like, what's the big deal? Just go talk to her.
Exactly.
No, but this is a big deal.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Treat this with a level, treat this with a level of intentionality where you're not just meeting up with a buddy. This isn't just meeting up with a friend. There's some intention here. There is the possibility of a very different future. And so, treat it as such.
And we're going to examine several very practical things men can do, but these aren't prescriptive, though they are helpful. And for a man who's uncertain of what to do, I think if he were to apply them, he would find success. But each situation is different. How two people know each other, their history together, may change the way a man goes about doing this. So if, someone's listening today and they're like, really, I have to do X, Y, Z? Well, no, you don't have to do X, Y, Z. You apply the principles to your own situation. But if you're a man and you want to pursue a woman and you're uncertain of maybe the next steps or how you would go about doing that, you may find that the things we cover today are very helpful and practical.
Yeah, use this as a blueprint if you want. This is the best way that we know of, that we recommend. And for the guy that really wants some specifics, the next step, and sometimes that it can be helpful for a guy. We don't know exactly what to do, and we're looking for some advice. And so here, we're gonna lay out some very practical next steps. And so a guy can look at this and say, okay, I'm gonna do A, B, C, D.
Yep.
Not for everybody, but for the guy that is looking for a blueprint for a roadmap, this will be a great one to take.
So the first thing that a man should do is he should plan out where he's going to get together with a woman in order to have the conversation regarding his romantic interests in her. And you want to pick a place that is low stakes and not overly romantic. Again, this isn't your first date together. This is a place where you're meeting, you're getting together with her to ask if you can romantically pursue her. And so a great first place to do that is maybe a coffee shop. If you want to go out to a meal, maybe like a hamburger shop or I don't know, a salad bar or something. Some place where it's low stakes. On Yelp they sort restaurants by number of dollar signs. This is not a $3 or $4 sign location. This is a $1 or $2 location.
And that's where you want to end up. This isn't a oh, I see her on the street corner real quick. Oh, let me just have a quick conversation with her. And this is not, let me plan out 3 months ahead, set up a reservation.
Exactly.
Pull out my bow tie.
Yep.
It's not that either. Find somewhere in the middle where it shows that you're putting some thought into it. But again, you're not overthinking it.
And you don't want to, pick someplace that's sketchy, right? Don't pick a sketchy part of town. You want to pick a place that is normal. I think men tend to overthink things in one direction or the other. They overplan and make it way too elaborate and way too romantic, or they're trying to be so normal that they're weird and they pick the dive bar in the sketch part of town at the most awkward time of day. And so men just need to think about where's a normal place to get together. Invite her to, the local coffee shop. If you got a Starbucks in your community, go there. A bakery, whatever. Pick some place that's low stakes that is comfortable to meet at.
And then he'll want to plan out the day and the time. Now, this isn't just him making the call. Hey, meet me here, this time, this place. He's going to want to pick a place, but then also propose a few times. Or you could propose a best time for you. I think ideally, the guy will propose several times and say, hey, I'd love to meet up with you. All of these times work great for me. What works for you?
Yes, because he needs to be thinking about her schedule as well as his. If she has a job and she's working, I don't know, say 9 to 5, don't pick 2 p.m. in the afternoon to get together with her on a Friday. Maybe pick an early evening or pick a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning. Pick a time when she's available. And particularly if you are going to pick a time of day, don't pick something insane like 6 o'clock in the morning because you're an early morning riser. And you're like, well, let's go to coffee at 6 a.m. And maybe you're a night owl. Don't pick a time at 9 p.m. and ask her to go to the local bar at 9 p.m. Don't do that. Find a time that is like respectful of her.
Yeah. Yes, and I would absolutely suggest against the late night meetup. If you are gonna propose an early morning meetup, you said 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. If it's gonna be something really early, that's not very early for some people. But have that be among several options. Don't have your only availability be 5 or 6 a.m. and don't leave her with anything else. Have that among several choices.
Now, after you've figured out where you're going to meet and the day and time that you're going to meet, this is something that I would venture to guess the vast majority of men don't do, and that is to think through and actually plan out what you're going to say. If you think you can just wing it in the moment once you're sitting across from her and the words are just going to come to you, well, the vast majority of men aren't great public speakers and they're not great at speaking off the cuff. And once you throw in the emotion and the nerves of the moment where you're sitting across from a woman that you're interested in, you're uncertain of her interest in you, and so you're just going to kind of throw it out there, put yourself out there. That's where you start to trip over your words and you're not really sure what to ask. And this is the moment where many men aren't even clear because they're not really certain what they're supposed to say in that moment. So take time when you're not sitting across from her, when you're not in that moment, when you don't have the emotional pressure cooker of the situation, and just begin to jot down in your phone or on a pad of paper some things that you want to communicate with regard to your interest.
And it's important for a guy to remember he's only planning out his side of the deal. He's only going to plan out what he's going to say. Don't anticipate any specific response. Don't try to plan around what you hope she's going to say. This is purely what you want to say to her. And also it's important to know, don't do this in a way that puts undue pressure on her. And we've talked about communicating. When you communicate with her in these sort of situations, be clear, be intentional. Be forward, but not awkwardly so. But don't place an expectation on her in the moment. Don't, spoken or otherwise, expect there to be an answer. if she provides one, great. But the guy going into that environment, don't be there planning for her to give you an answer, or verbally or non-verbally apply pressure to her to do so.
Yeah, I can see an instance where, depending upon how they know one another, a guy goes in and he says something along the lines of, we're just so perfect together. Everyone says it all the time. My mom loves you. She's always saying to me how much we would make a great couple together. And so, I wanted to ask if you'd be interested in being in a relationship. Like, you've just put so much pressure on her. And sometimes men will even unintentionally manipulate her towards a yes based upon what they're saying and the pressure they put around her. And she feels compelled to say yes. It's like, a public proposal at a game, right? A sporting event. You kneel down and it's all over the kiss cam and everyone can see it. And what is she gonna do? Say no?
To say?
Like, what a terrible situation for her. And in the same way, if you don't rehearse what you're going to say, it's possible that you end up not being clear, or you end up pressuring her towards a specific outcome.
You're right. You don't want to put pressure on her to provide an answer in the moment. What you do want to do is provide a framework for her to give an answer, because this isn't just a casual meetup where you're just going to be sharing some thoughts. The guy needs to go in with the expectation that he's going to be clear, communicate something specific, and at some point will get an answer for her. I think a good way for a guy to frame it would be give her something to say no to.
Yep.
So if she doesn't have something to say no to, then you actually weren't clear enough in what you were communicating to her.
That's an excellent point, which is why then the next thing a man needs to do is rehearse what he's going to say. I've talked about how I went to school for piano performance before, and one of the things you do long before you ever walk out onto that stage, put yourself out there, so to speak, is you spend hours practicing alone. And this might sound weird to a lot of men. It might sound not very masculine to rehearse. You just want to go in and let the emotions of the moment speak for themselves. That's a surefire way to sound like an idiot, to probably scare her off, and likely for her to say no. So what you want to do is jot down a few statements, a few ideas. What are you asking of her? And then practice saying it out loud. You can walk around the house, you can say it in front of a mirror, you can say it in the car, but it's something you want to familiarize yourself with so that when it comes to the moment where you're sitting across from her, you know what you're trying to say and you're not an awkward, bumbling idiot talking about how, she's so beautiful and you just want to be with her.
And I can speak from personal experience here.
Oh boy.
I've learned a lot in my years being in a relationship, and have, watched guys, including myself, walk it out with, let's call it a notable lack of success. So my early years of asking girls out was pretty much a template of what not to do. Again, I thought I could just wing it, in the moment, just come up with something.
Sure.
And but yes, more times than not, it comes across as awkward. It's not even clear what I'm trying to say. She's, might be polite, but it's really not. There's nothing really helpful happening in the moment.
Yeah.
So this material would have been great for the version of me 20 years ago.
And the thing is, a lot of men aren't going to be intentional about planning what they're going to say. And if you're not willing to be intentional about what you're going to say, why do you think you're going to be then intentional about bringing clarity to your pursuit of her? Like, if you're not intentional about what you're going to say, you've already undermined your ability to be intentional in your pursuit of clarity.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. It starts, right, the way you start something is really what you're going to build on. And if a guy just starts on one path, but then for some reason expects to do things differently down the road, like, that's just not logically linear.
Yep.
So it just would make sense for a guy to start off on the way that you would expect to be later on.
So you've planned out where you're going to meet, when you're going to meet, you've thought through what you're going to say, you've practiced what you're going to say, but now you need to think through how you're going to invite her to get together with you. Because that actually really matters. You could take your opportunity to even ask if you can romantically pursue her by not asking her out in a way for coffee to get together in a way that makes her feel comfortable. Like if you've never ever spent really much time with her, and if you've never communicated with her via text or phone, and suddenly you text her and you're like, yo, want to grab coffee this Sunday?
Yeah, don't do that.
Like, that's going to be super awkward. And she's probably going to say no or just not respond altogether. And so how you guys communicate, how you know each other is going to really influence the medium that you reach out to her on. So is it going to be via text, via phone, an in-person conversation? Are you going to email her? Maybe in some really weird, strange world, you communicate via a social media platform. And so you've got to message her. Whatever the medium is that's normal for you to communicate, that's probably the one you should reach out to her on.
And a guy should keep in mind that even if he's been friends with her for a little while and he might think, oh, we're just good friends, we're pretty casual. Okay, add some formality to it.
Yep.
No slang, no shorthand. My recommendation is not texting. But be clear, be more formal than not. Even if you would think, oh, that's awkward. We just hang out and we're just friends.
Yep.
Settle that aside. You're about to ask her to partner with you on the possibility of partnering with you on a lifelong journey. That's a big deal. And so,
I mean, you're going to freak everyone out because that's not the first thing we're telling men to ask, but it might end up there.
that is the mindset with which he's orienting himself toward.
Yes. As long as he's not proposing on this first coffee get together.
No ring in the pocket yet.
Hopefully not.
If you have it, do not pull it out.
And get some help.
Yes. So treat this with a level of sincerity and just with a level of formality that's more than just a casual meetup.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to send a handwritten letter, sprayed with your cologne.
No.
Probably not the best. And don't use ChatGPT to write a poem for you about how beautiful she is. Don't do that either. Just be normal, but yeah, elevate it a bit more by being a bit more intentional in that communication. And one of the things that I don't think probably most men are prepared to answer is the question of if she responds and says, what do you want to get together about? Because if you're not regularly going out to coffee together,
right,
to suddenly ask a woman who knows how you know her, to suddenly ask her to say, hey, I'd love to go grab coffee with you this Saturday at 1 p.m., at Fred's Coffee House. Are you free? She might be like, what is it you want to get together about? And you know what you don't want to do? Don't start off a potential relationship with lying to her.
Yeah.
I just, wanted to see how you're doing.
Yeah. Don't be evasive.
Don't
be dodgy.
So you have to think through what is the response in a way where you're not actually presenting the pursuit question. Hey, I'd like to date you.
Right.
Because at that point now you've just undermined your whole plan. But you also want to be honest with her. So we're not going to give the practical wording that you should use right now. You can reach out to your authority and accountability. You can solicit wisdom from older men in your life. But this is something that you have to have an answer ready for because it's possible she asks it.
Yes. And then when you do actually ask her to meet up, there will be a response of some sort. Yes, no, maybe. Just don't read into her response. Don't try to play 3D, 4D chess and figure out, oh, this means this.
Yeah, does she like me now?
Right.
Is she more willing to say yes?
Yeah, no looking into, does this mean she's more interested? This might mean she's less interested. Maybe I should call the whole thing off.
Yes.
Full stop. Don't read into, just take her response at face value. If she says yes, don't take it as an enthusiastic yes. Don't take it as a disinterested yes. It's just yes. And move forward with that.
And when you ask her, try to be as specific as possible in what you're asking for. So something along the lines of, hey, I'd love to grab coffee with you this Saturday at 1 p.m. at Fred's Coffee House for an hour. Are you free? So you've put a duration of time on it. So she's not committing to the rest of the afternoon or evening or whatever. You've specified the location. You've given her a time. And you've also opened the door for her to say, no, that doesn't work. and for you to coordinate a different time.
Mm-hmm.
And what's important then is that you as the man meet her there. Don't try to offer, if she says yes, well, how about I go pick you up? No, just be normal. Meet her there at 1, low stakes, not romantic. Show up and have that conversation.
Yeah, that's a good point. And a guy needs to be able to figure out pretty quickly, is this I don't want to meet up because I kind of know what's happening here, or that time just doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
If a guy proposes a time and she says, sorry, that doesn't work for me, what's he going to do? He could think, oh, that specific time doesn't work, or she just doesn't want to meet up with me. And that's something that he's got to bring clarity to.
Yep.
He has to be able to navigate that without being pushy, without being overly communicative, be appropriate, give her space, but also figure out, oh, is it just this specific time that doesn't work? Is it the coffee shop she doesn't like?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this a bigger thing where she actually doesn't want to meet up with me and a guy needs to be ready for that?
And you can ask a follow-up question like, well, is there a time that would work for you?
Mm-hmm.
And if she responds no, then thumbs up it.
Yeah.
That's it. Be done. Abort. You're going to have to go back to the whiteboard and replan what you're going to do here.
Yep.
Now, I do want to quickly note that depending upon the type of community you come from or cultural background, it might be appropriate for you as the man, before you sit down with a woman and express your romantic interest in her, to actually go to her father first, or if he's not in the picture, her mother first, to ask permission to even get together with her to express your interest in romantically pursuing her. We heard the story of Ben and Kayla recently, and in that story, Ben does express his interest to her, but she says, my parents hold the keys to my heart. So before we move this thing forward, you actually need to get their blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you come from a community where that's expected, absolutely do that. If her cultural background requires that you do that, absolutely do that first. And it's up to the man to navigate and figure out whether that's something that he needs to do.
Yes.
That-
And actually, this is such an important point you just made that I think we should just pause here for a minute. The default assumption for the guy should be, I am going to ask her dad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always going to be the case, but he should at least be expecting that will be the starting point. And because worst case, say he goes to the dad, the dad would just shrug his shoulders and be like, I don't care.
Yeah, this is weird. Why are you asking me?
Right.
Go ask her.
And it's like, okay, cool. I'll go ask her.
Yeah.
But it could be the case, like Kayla, there are women who really value the input of their father, of their pastor. And so going to people like that, in this case, specifically a father in this case, that could be a very powerful way for a guy to even start the journey toward pursuing this woman.
And for a lot of particularly religious people, oftentimes Christians, there's a recognition of the importance that a father plays in a woman's life, as protector, as provider, as covering.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a man who's interested in that woman, you don't want to try to circumvent the father. You don't want to try to go in the back door, so to speak, to try to win her heart. You want to march right up to the gates, right up to the man in charge, state your intention clearly, and get his blessing and permission to romantically pursue her. You're not asking, can I marry her in that moment? That conversation is going to come down the road should you end up there.
Yeah. Again, I think that's a very important point for guys to understand. You're not going to the dad to tell him or ask him, hey, can I marry your daughter? That will be later. This is purely, hey, your daughter's great. I would love to meet up with her. I think, she would make a great spouse someday. You're just kind of bringing him into the picture.
And if as a man listening to this, you balk at that idea and you're like, I don't need to do that. I'm an adult. Then you're not ready to pursue the value of this woman.
Mm-hmm.
Any woman who has a father who's standing as gatekeeper in her life is a woman of value. And that's something that I think was demonstrated so beautifully in Ben and Kayla's story, is there was nothing he wasn't willing to do to get the prize, to have Kayla as his bride.
Yeah. It's important for guys to remember you're here to do the respectable thing. You're here to do the honorable thing, both to her and to those around her,
Yes.
to the important people in her life. And for young women, for single women who have a healthy dad in their life, this is a very important first step.
Now, all that to say, based upon your background with her and your understanding of her and maybe your place in life and how old you guys are, maybe you don't need to go and approach her dad first. Maybe you first find out from her if she's interested. And if she does say yes, the next thing you ask is, before we make this official, I want to talk to your dad. Would that be wise? Or would that be a blessing to him? Or would that be a blessing to you?
Yeah.
What you're trying to gauge at that point is whether that's something that you should do. I know my brother, when he was interested in his now wife, and he wanted to date her, he went to her parents' house. She wasn't home, and met with her dad. I don't even know if he had met him yet. And introduced himself and was like, I want to date your daughter. And if I remember the story right, his father-in-law now was like so confused by it, was like, what? Like, why are you here? And my brother was like, well, I just want to get your permission. He was like, okay, sure. And like, that was a whole conversation. I just can't even imagine how awkward that was. But what I really appreciate about my brother is before he even pursued his now wife, he was like, hey, this is what I think would be the honorable thing to do.
Yeah, and it was, regardless of the specifics of how that scenario played out.
Exactly. And so this is not something that men should balk at. This is not something men should find demeaning or something that's like humbling or like put down of them.
Yeah.
This is the rite of passage into manhood and love, romance, and marriage.
And it's not something that a guy should go at alone to try and figure out, okay, do I go to her first? Do I go to her dad first? Her dad's pretty solid. He kind of likes me. Maybe I go to him, but I don't know. Maybe I just chat with her first. A guy's going to be thinking about all this stuff.
Of course.
And the best way for him to navigate that is going to be looking to the men in his life. He should look to his pastor, to his mentors, his own dad. Go to some respectable men in your life and just ask them, hey, in your opinion, should I go to the dad here and just say something to him? Or should I go to her first? Because, ideally, there are going to be other men, other people who know the girl's dad, they know her, they kind of know the situation, the family, and they're going to be able to provide some really helpful input to help you navigate all that.
And in a situation where maybe she's not part of your local community and you've gotten to know her outside of maybe her parents' community, maybe you're both professionals, meet in a different city, and you really like her, and you want to romantically pursue her, and you have no connection to her family. So it's like, I don't even know how I'd get in touch with them. This is where you would start the conversation with her, but then follow up very quickly with asking about getting together with her dad, making a phone call, flying out and visiting him, introducing yourself to him to ask for permission. And here's the kicker. As a man, even if she said yes, you need to respect whatever her parents say. If it's her father or her mother that you're speaking to, and they say no, you can't then be like, well, she said yes, so we're just gonna do it anyways. That opens up its whole own can of worms where, making appeals and praying and using wisdom all now has to be applied in that direction. No doesn't mean door closed. No means not yet. And so as a man, you've got to be ready to have that conversation, holding that relationship loosely, not holding onto it with a closed fist because she's already said yes and you want it.
Yeah. Yeah. And to the guy who says, to your example, well, she's the next state over, don't know anything about her or her community. There aren't really many people that I know that know her. So we're not prescribing here what must be done. But what we're saying here is, to the best of your ability, do these things. You might not be able to do all of them, but to the extent that you can, do them.
Absolutely. So that was a great aside. So now back
Yeah.
on track, getting together with the woman at the coffee shop. So the next thing you need to do is you actually need to put yourself together. A lot of guys don't tend to have much of a style at all. And, they might just think I can show up. This is supposed to be casual, right? So I can just show up in my gym shorts or my hunting gear or my work clothes. It's like, you probably shouldn't do that. Put together some type of casual outfit. This does not mean you go out and you buy a tuxedo and you show up with a rose.
Not yet.
This is not a romantic get-together. This is very actually kind of transactional. It's you laying out the terms and what you're looking for, her receiving them to be able to go back and process them. But do your best to look presentable.
Yeah, it is somewhat cringy what passes for style these days. Try to elevate yourself above what goes for casual style, and yeah, be presentable. This is more than you going to the gym or you going to play some games with some buddies. Yeah, and make it show in what you wear.
Now, once you're sitting down across from her, put your technology away.
Absolutely.
There is nothing less valuing as a human being is when you're sitting across from somebody who's sitting there listening or talking to you and they're scrolling their phone or they're scrolling their watch, or this next gen sitting there with an earbud in their ear. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, either listen to that and leave me alone or sit down and like an adult have a conversation. No woman wants to sit across from a man who's sitting there distracted by probably useless notifications on his phone or his watch. Put your phone away, put it in your pocket, put it in a bag, leave it in the car, and silence your watch.
Yeah.
You should get no notifications, so she's the only thing that you're paying attention to.
And in addition to that, my recommendation is don't even have your phone on the table.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that to a listener, what the listener hears actually differs if the person speaking has their phone out on the table versus out of sight.
And by the listener, we don't mean the FBI on the phone.
Exactly.
We actually mean
They're
the
also
woman.
listening, so be careful.
We actually mean the person across from you.
Yeah, so again, it's just an easy way to be respectful, to be intentional, do something outside the norm. It's become normal to just engage with technology in conversation, which is crazy. But yeah, be weird, be outside the normal, and just show that you're intentional about this.
And with that, make sure that your focus, like your eyes, are looking at her. Her face. Thank you for the clarification. A lot of men today, actually people today, don't tend to look at each other in the eyes. It's funny because you can generally tell somebody who is either homeschooled or is from an older generation because they'll maintain eye contact with you when you're talking to them. So many people these days are uncomfortable when you look at them, or when you do connect with them visually, they look away pretty quickly. As a man, be intentional about locking eyes with her. Don't be roaming around the room. That shows a man who's not interested. That shows a man who's not focused. That shows a man who's not intentional. You want your interest to be on her. Now, I know that there are some personalities out there, some guys, who will take that recommendation and they will lock so visually tight onto her face and they will never blink. And now they look like a serial killer who wants to murder her. So don't do that. Again, just be natural and normal, but be intentional about looking at her in the eyes.
Yes, you want to show her that you're here for her, to communicate with her, and you are not going to be distracted by anything else. And that's a low bar. On one hand, it's a low bar to cross. On the other hand, I think a lot of guys would really struggle to keep their phone out of sight for half an hour. That's actually a big ask for a lot of guys. So the next thing a guy needs to do is be the one to end the meeting. This is important to not wait until it is overly obvious that things have wrapped up, and it's like crickets, and it's like, okay, it's weird to like make eye contact, and you want to wrap things up at before things wind down. That ideally, and it'll play out differently in every situation, but be the one to initiate the meeting, be the one to end the meeting.
And even if it's going really, really well, and maybe in this particular instance, she doesn't need time to process And she actually has already responded to you and said, yes, you're still not out on your first date. This is still the get together to ask if you can romantically pursue her. Let's imagine that she didn't need any time to process your request. And so she tells you right then and there, yes, I'd love to be in a relationship with you. And so sparks are flying and, it's all rainbows, roses, and unicorns. End the meeting because you're still not on your first date yet. This is still a get together to request to romantically pursue her. And so you want to be ready at a very specific preordained time to end your meeting together. And so this is probably the only moment that it would be appropriate to look at your watch. I actually need to go, maybe not right in that moment because there's a few more minutes. I really need to head out actually in 5 minutes. I've got a hard stop. But this has been so fun, and begin winding it down. Now, once that's happened, all right, there's two directions you can go. One is if she says yes to you in the moment. The other is if she needs time to process. Our advice will always be to present your ask, giving her time to process. And when you give her time to process, give her a deadline. I'd love for you to process this for the next, 3 to 5 days. And I'd love to hear back from you by, next Wednesday or something. Give her a timeline. Otherwise, it can just morph into this weird, oh yeah, I'll get back to it at some point. And maybe she never does.
Right.
So you need a definitive timeline. So let's examine this from the two perspectives of she says yes or she needs to process. If she says yes and you're leaving there, leave there already with a plan to get together again. So have a destination, a time that you're going to get together. So, hey, I'd love to get together with you. I don't know. What about Monday, 2 p.m.? I love the scene in You've Got Mail where Joe is building a friendship. He's in a situationship with Kathleen Kelly, and they're hanging out together. This is after her bookstore closed, and it's springtime. They're hanging out all together, and in one scene, he's like, "Hey, do you want to meet me, say over there at 2 p.m. Tomorrow or something?" And she's like, "Yeah." Or bump into me at 2 p.m. tomorrow there. She's like, "Yeah." And so he's always initiating, because he's interested, a time and a location for them to meet up. If she says yes, as the man, initiate a time and location to get together again. Probably not the next morning for coffee.
Yes.
Give some time, let some emotions settle, but you want to initiate that. Now, if you've left it with her having time to process, one of the things that can be helpful, again, not prescriptive, is within an hour of leaving that meeting, just send her a quick text, just thanking her for taking the time to come out and to get together with you. That's it. You're not, saying, "Hey, it was so great getting together today. I can't wait to hear what you respond with.
No.
Can't wait for us to be in a relationship. My mom's gonna be so happy when you say yes."
Nope.
You're not saying any of that. You're not even reading into her response back to you. Say you send that, and then she hearts it. That's not she said yes, we're now in a relationship.
Right.
You gotta let all that go.
Yep. Or if she says nothing.
Or if she says nothing.
Don't be thinking, "Oh gosh, she totally not interested."
Exactly.
No, just let it go.
Yep. And so as the man, what you want to do is be very clear. The goal of leading a relationship is to bring clarity so that she doesn't wonder what's happening next. The current cultural dating game is toxic, it is unhealthy, and it is destructive. It's a waste of time, energy, and emotion. It creates drama, it brings division, it deteriorates friendships and relationships. We aren't going to play that game. We're not going to encourage people to play that game. And if you're a listener saying, "But it's all about love and feelings and figuring it out," well, you can continue down your dysfunctional path of unhappiness and see how it works out for you. But here at the Art and Pursuit podcast, we're going to challenge men to take initiative and to lead with clarity, which means communicate specifically what you're thinking and what you're asking.
And one quick thing to wrapping up the meeting, it is good to end on a high note. I think you had just mentioned that.
But not a kiss.
Not that high note.
That's much too high.
a less high note.
Bring it down.
Bring it way down.
Maybe a high five.
Yes. That can be the high note. End on a high note versus, as we mentioned, waiting too long.
Yeah.
There will come a point in the conversation where things naturally are starting to wrap up. You've communicated all that you need to say. Great. She's communicated some things. Maybe there is great conversation going, but there is nothing wrong to wrapping up sooner than you would want. A guy might be having a great time. It's funny. It could be a little flirty. It could be chatty. It could just be fun. And a guy will naturally enjoy that, right? Those are fun environments to be in.
Absolutely.
We are going to be drawn to that.
Yep.
So our natural tendency, outside of something else, is going to be, well, let's continue this. I'm having a great time. Let's just go. A guy needs to have the temperament and the self-awareness to say, this is going really well, and I'm actually going to end it here.
Yep.
Now, don't say that, but a guy needs to be thinking that and have the communication to respectfully, politely, wrap up the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that if men apply some or all of these principles in their pursuit of a woman, again, it doesn't guarantee that she's going to say yes, but you have greatly increased the odds that she will say yes because now she knows exactly what you're asking. And that, for both the woman and you as the man, is going to be so freeing and actually allows you to know what next steps are. Because without clarity, you're walking around in a dark room uncertain of what you are bumping into or what you should do next. So gentlemen, asking to date a woman doesn't require bravado or theatrics. It requires preparation, clarity, and intentionality. You can't control the outcome, but you are responsible for how you show up. Plan well, speak clearly, lead decisively, and then let her respond without pressure, coercion, or manipulation. That's what mature pursuit looks like. And who knows? Maybe she'll say yes to your request to date her. Thanks for listening. We always love having you here on the Art of Pursuit podcast. We look forward to having you here next time.